Well, God bless you. Welcome to In the Blender with Madeline Hyman and Brandon Hyman. And we're so excited to be with you once again on this Tuesday, March the 7th. And I tell you, we're just bubbling up for what God has been doing through this ministry and through this broadcast. And it's just been an exciting time. I tell you, countless people have just been emailing us and texting us and hitting us up on Facebook, stopping us. And I tell you, it's just been such a blessing. And so we're excited to have you guys join us here on tonight. Sweetheart, what are you feeling on tonight?
Well, first, let's say good evening to the people, and we're going to give them a few moments to let's just hold tight just a few moments. Give a few people time to get on.
3, 2, 1. And so now that time has transpired. And so again, we're excited. We're just bubbling up for what God has just been revealing and how he's been showing himself strong even through this broadcast. And tonight we're just going to share some statistics. We're going to talk about some things to do when you're going into the blended family. And we pray that this broadcast will bless you tremendously and that you'll be able to take some of the tidbits and some of the nuggets that we're going to share and apply to your family and be blessed thereby. So we're going to start off with a couple of statistics. What's the first statistic we have, sweetheart?
Okay, so the first one that we have is in 1960, just 13% of married adults were in a second or subsequent. Yeah, that word got me tongue-tied there. You read that word.
If it's close to it,
that's
what
she meant. That's what I meant.
And so the first statistic is, in 1960, just 13% of married adults were in a second or subsequent marriage. Today, close to 23% are in a second or subsequent marriage, equaling about 42 million adults. This is triple the 1960 rate. And so these statistics that we're going to be sharing tonight are very important because what I'm finding out as we're talking to people, as we've been talking to people, we've been a blended family for 19 years. This next Tuesday be our anniversary, and I'm super excited about that. 19 years that I dealt with her, and so yeah. Okay, all right. And so it be 19 years we've been a blended family, and all of that time, people have just been feeling like they're the only ones that are going through what they're going through. And so The reason why we like to share statistics is to let you know that you're not the only person that is dealing with this situation. You're not the only blended family. You're not the first. You won't be the last. And so it's important to understand that there's a whole community of people just like yourself that need to be empowered, that need information, that need understanding and revelation. And so we're sharing these statistics weekly just to be an encouragement and a help. And so again, in 1960, just 13% of married adults were in a second or subsequent marriage. But today, close to 23% are in a second or subsequent marriage, equaling about 42 million adults. This is triple the 1960 rate. The other statistic we want to share with you guys is that of new marriages, 40% are remarriages, 20% for one partner, 20% for both partners. And so those are alarming statistics when you really look at it, because that's letting you know that the family dynamic is drastically changing. And because of that drastic change, we need to be informed. We need to have understanding. We need to know how to relate with one another. We need to know how to interact with one another. We need to know how to bring two different systems together and now make them one system. Correct. And so we just been excited about sharing this information with you guys, and prayerfully that you'll be blessed thereby, that you can take this information, that you can apply it to your daily living. You can apply it to your marriage and to your blended family. And even if you're not in that boat, we all know somebody that's a blended family. We all know somebody that this is their second marriage, or this is second for one or first for the other. And so I tell you, it blessed us over the years. And so we thought it not robbery to share with you guys so that you can be blessed as well. Another alarming statistic is that 1/3 of individuals who got divorced in 2008 were redivorcing, that is, divorcing again. Let me read that again because that's powerful. 1/3 of the individuals who got divorced in 2008 were redivorcing, that is, divorcing again. And so even with this blended family, we're finding out that there's blended on top of blended families nowadays. Because you got folks that have been married 2, 3, 4 times now. And so we know one individual was married 5 times.
Correct.
And so I can imagine how his dynamic was in his relationships. And so, again, we just want to share these statistics with you. Prayerfully that they'll bless you, that you can get some understanding and some clarity as it relates to some of the decisions that you made leading up to this point, and how now from this point your marriage can be blessed and it can be empowered, and that you too can be a blessing to others. One more statistics. We all read that last one.
Americans marry, divorce, and cohabit more than any Western society. They also start and stop relationships more quickly.
And that's crazy. It says Americans marry, divorce, and cohabit more than any Western society. And one of the things that we're finding out is because we're being programmed. My pastor always says more is caught than taught. And the reason why we're seeing a lot of this dynamic going on is because we're being flooded by it through media. This all we're seeing on TV. That's all we're seeing when we go to the movies. When we listen to songs, even the songs today aren't songs of commitment. They aren't songs of oneness and togetherness and fighting a good fight. They're always songs of adultery and scandals and things of that nature. So when you're constantly putting this stuff in your system, junk going in produces junk going out.
Correct.
And so that's why we're seeing such alarming rates these days, is because that's all we're being faced with. We're being bombarded by a bunch of junk, and it's no wonder why not only the world at large, but the body of Christ is struggling in this area. And so one of the things that one of our mantras in our ministry is we declare war on divorce.
Correct.
And so we both have been divorced individuals, and this is both our second marriage. But we declare war on divorce. And so going into this marriage, we said there's no way possible we were going to allow the enemy to rob us of all that God had intended for us to receive.
Exactly.
And so we want to share some things in our last minutes with you guys of what to do going into the blended family. And this is some awesome information we're going to share with you guys. One of the things is, don't make too many changes at once, because this can be unsettling to the children. And we want to start with this is because the success of a blended family is surrounded not only just the parents, but the children.
Correct.
And a lot of times when we go into the blended family, we just think about the parents, but we don't really consider the children. Talk a little bit about that, sweetheart.
I'll use one example or one thing that I know that we dealt with, routine. Changing, the routine so quickly, because I know, like, before you came along, we had this thing where it was just me and my girls, and like for the bedroom, we would go into my bedroom and we would all lay across the bed. My bedroom was open to them, and we would, just have talks, sit in there, laugh, joke, play, just whatever. But that was our time, me and my girls, to just bond and have fun together. So when you came along, all of that stopped abruptly. It wasn't any time allowed for the change. The moment that you came in, it just stopped.
And that's important because, again, she had a system, and so I was coming in with a different system, and our systems clashed. Because when I was growing up, I didn't go into my parents' room and sit on their bed and have conversations. When we talked, it was out in the living room or at the dining room table. But when it came to the bedroom was a sacred place. So for me, the bedroom was a sacred place. So I didn't want my children in the bedroom. We're going to talk out in the living room and the dining room. But when I cross this threshold to the bedroom, all things change. And so it's important not to make abrupt changes, not to make sudden changes, because I begin to interrupt their flow. And when I interrupt their flow, little things begin to bubble up as it relates to our relationship. What's another?
Which also kind of tie in with I had like space invasion.
Yes.
Like it was times where they felt like even if we wasn't in the bedroom, we all me and the three girls would be sitting on the couch together, just watching TV together or sitting at the table eating together. And then when you came in, it was now no longer me and them on the couch. It was maybe me and you, and then they had to find another seat. Or me, you, and them on the sofa. So they, had a problem with, they felt like you came in and just invaded their space, and it wasn't, it was kind of hard for them to just adjust and accept that right away.
And and this is big because we all are, as it relates to this one right here, we all are needy. Like, we fight for her time. We still do. I mean, all my girls are grown. The grandkids, just something about this chick over here. We all fight for her time. And so even coming into this, there was a fight for time. There was a fight for her space in her room. And so by me being a husband, I felt like I had the ultimate right to that space and that ultimate right to that time. And so I didn't consider the fact that I was now abruptly changing what they were used to and how they were used to sitting down watching TV or sitting down communicating or things of that nature. I just wanted to be the one that was close to her. And so it's important that not only to make sure you watch the routine, but watch how you invade the space as well. What's the other one?
Because they felt like you were, just came in and just totally, even though we were all still in the same house, like you came in and you just totally took me away from them. And, then it was like really, really difficult, for them to handle that because it had just been me and them for so long.
Exactly.
So you have to, allow that time for change, be patient in the process. We can't just go, come in, whether it's the mother, father, or whoever, and just make changes and not think about how the children are going to feel when we're just doing these things.
Exactly. What's the next point?
On that, the next one I had is decisions for the family. And what I mean by that is like things that concern the entire family. It should be time like what we like now. We have like family meetings and stuff. During that time, we wasn't having family meetings. You were making all the decisions, and we kind of just had to go with the decisions being made. You never considered the children or even sometimes even me, what I felt. It was just whatever you said went.
That's called a monarchy. Go ahead.
That was it.
So no, I just wanted to put that in there. I have my own monarchy.
Well, everybody don't know about that. That's something that's a topic that we're talking on in church.
And so so when it came to decisions in the family, again it was what I wanted, how I wanted it, the way I wanted it, when I wanted it, and so I really didn't consider anybody else's opinion or thoughts concerning decisions that were being made. And so subsequently, again, problems arise. And so you try to figure out where those problems are coming from, but you're not really looking at who's the one that's instituting those problems. And so, yeah. And so that's so important, you know what I'm saying? So as it relates to changes in the family or immediate change in the family, watch the routine. Get to know what the routine is. Find out what the routine, ask what the routine is. You know what I'm saying? Sit down with each other, sit down with the children. Say, okay, what is it that you guys are used to doing so that I'll know how to better navigate this? Yes. And then also in the same breath, there has to be some give and take, because there is going to be some changes made, but we don't have to make those changes so abruptly. We don't have to make them, so harshly. And so, as we consider the routine, then consider the space invasion. Especially if they're younger. If they're younger, they're a little, tight with their mom or their dad. And so, whatever one it is, if it's a mom coming to the relationship or if it's a dad coming to the relationship, understand that there's a space that has to be honored. And so when you honor that space, you want to know how to work that space. And so, take it from us. You don't want to come and just push things away. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it takes a long time to rebuild what you tore down.
Yeah, because for like like with adults, sometimes we know how to handle things. Children don't always know how to handle those type of situations. You know, they sometimes may not feel like they have an outlet, especially when they feel like that parent's been wiped away from them or taken away from them. Then it's like, okay, so who do I talk to? How do I resolve this? You know, who can help me with how I'm feeling about how things are?
Exactly, because about the first about 5 to 7 years, I was the big bad wolf. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, he is mean. You know, he's ornery. He's all the bad negative connotations that you want to give a second parent coming into a relationship. I was that person. And so it took me a moment to just sit down and reevaluate what I was doing as it related to my family. And, you know, because anything that I do, I always want to be successful in it. You know, I always want to be top notch. And I knew I was failing tremendously. And so because I knew I was failing tremendously, I really began to seek the face of God. I began to read everything I can get my hands on as it relates to second marriages and blended families. And, you know what I'm saying, I just began to just really watch those that I admire from afar off and watch how they interacted with each other. And I just began to just make some decisions that counteracted my bad decisions that I made early on. And I tell you, today, the family is blessed. I mean, it's awesome. You know, we just love spending time with each other. You know, I mean, it's just the relationship is just awesome with each and every one of the children. And so, again, we're sharing this information because we want to make sure that we can help you guys prohibit experiencing the things that we experienced early on in our marriage relationship. And so, again, things to do going into a blended family. Number one is don't make too many changes at once because this can unsettle the children. Number two is don't allow ultimatums. Now, this is big because a lot of people are facing this, you know what I'm saying, ultimatum piece with their families and with their exes. And so it's important when you go into this blended family that you make sure that you're not allowing ultimatums to take place. You might be saying, what do you mean by ultimatums? Okay, you may have family members that may not like your spouse or may not understand your spouse. And so they give you an ultimatum. You may have children that may give ultimatums. The other spouse may give ultimatums. And so in order to make this thing successful, you have to make sure that nobody is allowing ultimatums. And that's one of the things that we had to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, we didn't allow family to make decisions for us. We didn't allow children to make decisions for us. We made the decisions ourselves, and then we corrected the bad decisions so that we can have harmony and unity in our home.
Yeah.
She said, "Yeah." And so this is important because you especially like my wife, she has a huge family. It's about 23 of them. She got like 10 brothers and like 12 sisters, and so
Ain't quite that many, but it's a lot of them.
It's a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? And I thank God for them because
I love them.
Yeah, I love them. I love them. I love them dearly because they never put me in a position where there was an ultimatum made. And so, you know, I just truly love those guys because they made sure that I felt like I was a part of the family and that, you know what I'm saying, that we just flowed. Even on my side, you know, my parents just flat out love my wife. My sister loves my wife. And so, you know, there was no ultimatums given, but we experienced with friends and other family members where they faced those type of ultimatums. And we saw the devastation that they incurred because of allowing ultimatums to be put into their marriage. So don't allow ultimatums. The third one is limit your expectations. Talk a little bit about that, sweetheart.
You start that off.
Well,
and then I'll go.
Okay, limit your expectations. And what I mean by that is don't go into this with such high expectations as to how you want things to run and function. You got to understand something, that you're dealing with personalities. You're dealing with people, whether they're children or whether they're adults. You're dealing with personalities and people. And so sometimes your expectations supersede the individuals that you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And they might not be on the level to meet those expectations at that particular moment. And so if you're all set on how you want things to go and how you want things to flow, then not only are you frustrated, but now you frustrate others that are part of this family dynamic.
And also with that, with the adjustment, you can't make one feel like they have to adjust in your time frame, your time that you're setting for the adjustment. You have to allow, the adjustment. Yeah, you don't let things go on, for a long period of time, but you can't expect that person to change within, your time frame.
Correct.
And then even like with respect, you can't go in and demanding respect from, just the children. You have to also respect them, and vice versa. Respect is very important within any family, but especially in the blended family, because you're bringing, like you said before, two systems in to make it one running system that's going to work smoothly. Exactly. Just like when you put stuff in the blender, you may have all these different ingredients that you're throwing into the blender, but once you blend everything up together, eventually it's going to be smooth.
Exactly. And what I love about what you just said is when you're putting things in a blender, you still have to understand that there's always going to be one thing that's going to overpower everything else. And it's not a deliberate overpowering. It's just the makeup of whatever you're putting in. Like if you make that fruit smoothie, sometimes that banana overpowers the taste. Or sometimes the strawberries overpower the taste. Or sometimes the pineapples overpower the taste. Whatever you're putting in, there's always one thing that overpowers all the other ingredients in there. But the ultimate goal of that is that it all tastes good. And so you want to make sure that when you're putting these ingredients or you're allowing these ingredients to go together, that the ultimate goal is that good comes out of it.
Exactly.
And so you don't want your good to be evil spoken of. And a lot of times when we don't really consider, we don't have respect, and we don't make the adjustments, then our good now becomes evil spoken of. And when you talked about that respect, you're talking about the condition of being esteemed or honored, you know what I'm saying? And so you want to make sure that that you're esteeming each other. You want to make sure that you build each other up. We hear this saying a lot that respect isn't given, it's earned. No, respect is earned. Respect is given. It's not earned, it's given. I'll give you a prime example. When you go into the court of law and that judge walks in that room and that bailiff says, all rise, you don't sit down. Everybody stands to their feet. Why? Because you're going to respect the words of that bailiff, or if not, you're going to be in contention. You're going to walk out of handcuffs. Well, the same way, you have to allow that system to operate in your family. When things are coming together, you're going to have to allow the respect and esteem each other more highly than each other, because when you're respecting each other, when you're esteeming each other more highly than yourself, now there's a level of confidence that arises. And so everybody knows that we're on the same playing field. It's no big I's and little U's, but we all together to make this thing work. The other thing is understand that everyone's traditions may not be the same. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, because coming in, like for example, I'll start with us. Like we're like a really, really close knitted family. And we like to do a lot of things, together. We like to get together on the holidays. We like to get together and celebrate each other's birthdays. So when we had a slight issue in the beginning because you wasn't as family oriented as I was, and
I was a loner.
Yeah, exactly. And you still are to a degree.
A loner. You
still are to a degree. You really are. But our family, we've always been like that. We've always wanted to get together. Now, one of the main issues that we had, and it wasn't really an issue, but it was kind of like a little struggle here and there, is because our anniversary is one day before my birthday. So my daughters a lot of time felt like they could never have me for my birthday because it was so close to the anniversary, and you wanted time for birthday and anniversary. So that, was kind of an issue, for a while. Now we're starting to work it out a little bit. Now I just say, hey, look, what we going to do for our anniversary? Because on birthday, this is what I'm doing.
No, because they can celebrate their mother a week before or a week
But
after.
you can't say that
But that
because
week belongs to me.
No, you can't say that. You can't say that because my birthday was I had a birthday before we had an anniversary.
Let a woman leave her children to cleave unto her husband.
No, that ain't what it says.
So,
what do you have to add to that?
No, it's just so important, that you got to understand that everybody's traditions aren't the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so again, that was a great example, sweetheart, of, again, she comes from a huge family. And so in a huge family, they're used to doing a lot of festivities and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Well, it was me and my sister,
right.
and we're 10 years apart. And so I didn't spend a lot of time with my sister because I was already a teenager when she was born. And then, as I grew, she grew. So when I became an adult, she still wasn't even a teenager. And so that dynamic of our relationship was different in comparison to her because her parents was having children like every year.
Oh, whatever.
Like every 9 to 10 months, they was having babies. And so,
don't y'all listen.
and so they were used to this close-knit thing of just
you gonna
really
stop talking about my family.
Whatever. And so they were used to this type of thing where, they always got together. They always did things together.
Yes. I love my sisters and my brother.
All 23 of them. And so you got to remember that, traditions are different. There's family-oriented things that's done. There's family gatherings, birthdays, holidays. So even with the children, there's a lot of things that comprise as far as these traditions. And so you have to understand that we just can't come in and wipe away the traditions. You got to learn how to finesse, learn how to kind of compromise as relates to some things. We really didn't sit down with each other and say, okay, how are we going to do this? I know you guys are used to doing things this way, but how are we going to do it? It just, when I came in, it just was like, hey, it's about what I want to do and how I want to do it. And I don't really care how y'all was doing stuff because this is just the way I want it. And so it really was a hard first 7 years because it took a lot of humility for me to understand that, hey, dude, you're not getting nowhere thinking like this. And the only way you're going to be able to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish is you're going to have to change your thought process and your mindset concerning this. And I'll tell you, it's just been so awesome since we've made those adjustments. And now here we are 19 years later. March the 14th is our anniversary. And I tell you, it's so exciting. Again, we take this 30 minutes with you guys and just share our hearts with you. A lot of do's and don'ts. We share statistics with you guys because we want you to be blessed. Right. And everything that you acquire, we want you to be blessed. And everything that you encounter, we want you to be blessed. And so we just wanted to share this moment with you guys. It's been such a blessing to share with you. Again, our anniversary is coming up. 19 years of blended family.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday is my day. Kids, are you listening? Next Tuesday is my day. My day. Yeah, they're going to be that night with us. Yeah, so we got some exciting for you guys. If it goes according to plan, it's going to be real exciting what we're going to share on next Tuesday because we're going to be here on our anniversary. Just because we're celebrating each other, that don't mean we don't celebrate you guys. And so we're going to be here with you on next Tuesday on our anniversary, celebrating with you guys, just sharing some awesome, exciting information with you. And I tell you, it's just going to be powerful. Again, we thank you all for the emails. Get an email address, sweetheart.
We are a blended family at gmail.com.
Say that again.
We are a blended family at gmail.com.
And we just sharing that email with you, you know what I'm saying? It's not personal. You don't have to attach your name to it. But if you have a question that you want to answer, or you know what I'm saying, something you want clarity on that we shared, send us an email, or drop us an inbox, on our page. And so we'll answer that. We'll bring that up at the appropriate time. And, because remember, your question isn't just your question.
Right.
And a lot of times we think that the question we have is just for us. No, I promise you, that question that you're dealing with or that question that you want to ask, there's somebody else that's watching. There's somebody else that's listening that has the same question.
Yeah. So
we love you guys. We honor you guys. We bless you guys. We thank you so much again in the blender with Madeline Hyman and Brandon Hyman. And it's just been a blessing, and we're so excited again, our anniversary is coming up. So
Next
tell a neighbor,
Tuesday.
tell a friend, get as many people, share this broadcast. Make sure that we get as many people as possible on. I think this is going to be powerful. It's going to be awesome. It's our anniversary, and we just, I don't know, we might dress up. We might do something a little different. You know, so yeah, we might dress up. You don't know. We might do something. I don't know. We're going to do something. We're going to do something. So, you know, just tune in. Make sure you tune in, and we'll see you.
Got a lot of good stuff to talk about coming up. I mean, even like each individual struggles throughout the time in the blended family, because everybody had a struggle, everybody had a challenge. You know, like, just before we go, I won't go into it. We'll save it for next time. But just like for me, an example of, I felt like I was in the middle. I felt like I was being pulled this way and I was being pulled that way. Like a rubber band, you just being stretched.
That's another broadcast, because we're going to talk about that. That's an entire broadcast about being caught in between and how to navigate being caught in between, because she really was. She was caught in between two systems. The systems that she had set up with her daughter, and then the system that she was establishing with her husband. And so that was tiresome. You know what I'm saying? It was painful, because you don't want to make one feel less than the other. And so you want to know how to make them both feel great, both feel appreciated, both feel loved, and you still feel, or you still reciprocate the love and attention that you need as well. And that's for either the husband or the wife.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Because blended families are all different types nowadays.
Yes.
And so we're going to show you guys how to even navigate, even dealing with being torn between the children and the other spouse.
Yes. So stay tuned in.
Yes. And so again, we're closing. We love you guys. We thank you for tuning in with In the Blender with Brandon and Madeline Hyman. And make sure you tune in next Tuesday. It's going to be our anniversary. We're supposed to have the kids here, at least 3 of them, and probably some of the grandkids. So I'm going to give everybody 10 seconds, because if they start talking about me, I'm going to move them out the way. And so,
no, you better ask them what they're going to say first.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And so we're going to make sure that you guys really get a chance to see how our family dynamic is, and how we've been blessed over the years. And so, again, we thank you all. We love you guys. God bless.
Bye-bye.